Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for another episode here of Real Success Formula. My name is Florian, and I'm so delighted to be with you today. And today I'm going to kind of put together the four elements of the Real Success Formula. So if you have been following the past streams, then you know that we have discussed about relationship, keeping attitude, and leadership. And today is kind of the final stream from the series where we're going to put together the four elements. I'm going to share with you again a brief overview of all of them, why they are important. I'm going to share with you a study case of one of our clients, how they apply this into their leadership. And then I'm going to also give you some practical things that you could apply in your life. So if you want to become more successful in any area of your life, then I'm going to share with you some daily practices that you could implement into your days. So then that will help you, implement this formula. All right. So if this is the first time that you're watching us on this one, I'm gonna share with you my screen here, and I'm gonna go through the four elements of the real success formula. This is something that we use with our clients too, and this is something that it's also a formula for your personal growth and development. So without any further ado, I'll say let's jump right in. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. I'm going to address those, or I'm going to reply to them after the stream if I'm not able to do that while we are here live. Okay, so let's jump right in. Achieving real success. How do we integrate the four elements of the real success formula? And so if you are on this call, maybe there is something that has attracted you to this event. Maybe you've seen some of my posts, and chances are that you are a little bit like me, that you want to do more, be more, experience more, impact more, achieve more. But there's a challenge there, right? You run out of day before your to-do list is done. And I know that was me. And so why is that? Because so many times I hear this, well, I wish there were more hours in the day. I wish I was able to do more. And I feel this very, very much when, I have to pick up my son at 3:30 in the afternoon, and I know that I have things that I should have done and I haven't done them. And that's a sign for me that I was actually not intentional about my days. Because here's what I know. Your success is determined by your daily agenda. Your success is determined by your daily agenda. And so, if we want to grow, if we want to develop, if we want to become the best version of ourselves, we need to be intentional. We need to be intentional about it. We need to be intentional about the areas that we focus on and how do we spend our time, and what do we do with our days for us to become successful and for us to apply this real success formula. So what makes me talk about this, why me? Well, there was a time in my life when I lived more or less on autopilot, if you like. There were things that were put in front of me. I wouldn't use a calendar. I wouldn't schedule things on my agenda. And if someone would ask me, Florian, can we meet at this time on that day? And if there was nothing in my agenda, I will definitely say yes. Most likely I will say yes. And so what happened is that there was other people actually setting the agenda for me. When I was leading my team, I didn't really put intention and a lot of thought into how did I spend my day. There were some meetings, and I will be called into the meetings, and I will go attend those meetings. And at the end of the day, I had things that I haven't done. So I didn't really put a lot of thought into how I spend my time. I was more or less passenger. I was not so intentional in to develop myself in these four areas. But when I started to integrate some of the principles I shared with you today, things started to change, because when I learned about the real success formula, that's something that John Maxwell wrote about, and there are actually four little books like for each of the areas. So you're going to have a relationship 101, attitude 101, equipping 101, and leadership 101. And so going through those little books, I realized that there are some things that I don't do well, and I made some shifts. So before I made these shifts, I struggled. I was one of those people that had high aspiration. I want to do more reach more, but I didn't have the time. I felt that I ran out of day before I was due with my to-do list. That was because I was probably focusing on the wrong things. But some things sparked into me the understanding of what I'm going to share with you today. When I started to make those shifts, things started to change for me. I started to focus on building strong, solid relationship with people that I led and I coach. I started to be more interested in people. Then I started to equip myself and my team for success. I own and took responsibility of my attitude. That was a big one for me because I used to blame other people for my situation. And then I began to develop my leadership skills. So you're gonna see that these 4 areas actually are exactly the areas that we're gonna cover today, and they have to do with relationships, equipping myself and my team, taking ownership of my responsibility, of my attitude, and then developing my leadership skills. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to look at the real success formula. We're going to look at how do we combine these 4 elements. I'm going to share with you a study case, and then we're going to look at developing a personal action plan. I'm going to give you some practical tips to implement the real success formula. So what is the real success formula? You get some hints already, and if you'll be following with us for the last 5 weeks or so, then you probably know what I'm going to share now. But REAL stands for relationship, equipping, attitude, and leadership. And the first thing we want to understand is like, why are these important to us, right? Why are they important to us and our leadership? And we call them to be the building blocks of success, right? So in order for us to become successful and to have an impact in the world, we need to build strong relationships with people, with clients, with our people, with our employees, with our family. We need to equip ourselves and our team for success. We need to have the right attitude, and then we need to to develop our leadership skills. And so when you think about your success and your success in your career or in your personal life, wherever you want to apply this, then you think about those 4 building blocks. So we're gonna cover them one by one, and then I'm gonna share with you how do we integrate them. Okay. Number 1, relationships. This is kind of the first key area we covered in the past, but I'm going to share with you some highlights of that. Okay. If you want to go and see the entire show, you have to go back. It's easier for you to go on my YouTube channel and go back to live streams, and you will find all of them, or go to my LinkedIn profile and go to past events. You can also find all of them there. But what we cover in the relationship is that, I mean, the first thing we look at is like, why are relationships important to success? And that's probably one of the questions that many people have. And the reason is because just about everything we do depends on teamwork. What I mean by that is, think about anything significant that was achieved by one person doing it alone. Think about it. I know this, people are tempted to name maybe an individual athlete, or to name an inventor, or to name someone an author, but all those people, right? Like, people will say, well, Elon Musk. Well, Elon Musk has a huge team behind him, right? So when we think about the name of a person that has achieved something significant, if we look closer, most often, in 99% of the cases, there is a team behind them. So why do we need people? It's because we can't do what we want to do alone unless we have a small goal and unless we have a small dream. So we say that relationships are actually the glue that holds team members together when it comes to a team setup. So as a leader, as an individual, it's essential for us to develop those relationships with our people and with the clients. How do we build solid relationships? That's kind of if we understand now that relationships are important, how do we build solid relationships? Here are some characteristics of solid relationships. Solid relationships are relationships that are based on respect, people respect each other, and it's not only that are based on respect, but that you trust and respect people before they have earned it. You give people the benefit of the doubt. There are some leaders that ask, you have to earn my respect, you have to earn my trust. No. If we really want to build solid relationship, we want to be the ones trusting first, the ones respecting other people first. Okay? So respect is something you show to others even before they have done anything to warrant it, right? So we don't expect people to earn our respect. That's how you build a relationship. You show respect first and you show trust first. Look at this one as well. This is about how we make people feel, right? And you can't make another fellow feel important if in your present, if you secretly feel they are a nobody. What does it mean? It means that if we really don't believe that you are of value, that you are a valuable person, then I'm not going to treat you. I'm not going to be able to be genuine with you, and I'm not going to treat you as someone of value, as someone with respect. So those things will come across, right? And so in order for us to build solid relationship, we need to build trust, right? We need to build respect. We need to have shared experiences. That's why some of the best things that I had with clients were the after work or the evenings after we done the workshops. We do them off-site, and then in the evening we have some mingle, we have some group activities, we have some we were out with the snowmobiles, we were playing different games, and so what we were doing actually as a team, we have some experiences together. Great experience have been created when we were on business trips, and we drove cars around the world, and then we spent evenings, and then we help each other. So those are the shared experiences that people need to have together in order for them to build a strong relationship. So when it comes to solid relationship and strong relationship, we need to have those experiences too. Reciprocity should be a relationship where both parties are actually they feel that this is a worthwhile relationship. Is if one part feels they are actually providing or giving more than they're getting, then that's not a solid relationship. And again, a solid relationship also is based on mutual enjoyment. So we want to actually both want to have that relationship and time together, because at the end of the day, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So this is with relationships, I mean, any time you can spend on understanding people and creating a relationship, it's one of the best investments of your time. Here's what John says about it: the few things will pay you bigger dividends than the time and trouble you take to understand people. And I truly believe that. So this is why relationships are important, and there are some reasons why we sometimes don't build those relationships, because we fail to understand people, and sometimes it's out of fear. Other times we're just selfish and we are centered too much on ourselves, and we don't see things from other people's perspective. Other times we don't actually we don't appreciate differences, because someone being different, of a different religion, of a different background, of a different gender, well, because we don't understand their perspective, and we don't understand how being different actually it's of value to us, because they help us see another perspective. Then if we fail to see those differences, then we're not gonna value people, and so we don't understand that. And also sometimes we fail to acknowledge similarities. Like at the end of the day, well, we might have different backgrounds, upbringing, perspectives, but we have a lot more things in common than we have apart. So these are some traps that we can fall into, and that's why we don't really understand people, and we don't create those deep, strong relationship with them. Okay, so that was about relationship. Now let's look a little bit at equipping. Okay, so when it comes to equipping, again, the question is like, why do we need to equip others and also equip ourselves? here is the myth of the Lone Ranger. This is again ties back in what we just discussed earlier. Like nothing of significance has ever achieved by one individual acting alone. And I truly believe that. And if you think there is someone that has achieved something by themselves and they haven't had someone behind them, they haven't had a team, just drop that name in the comments and tell me, who that person is and what did they do. And we're going to look at that because people drop names like that all the time. But if we look behind those names, there's always a team. There is always someone that has helped them. So what we're saying, okay, so first of all, in order for you to create success in your life and in your business, first you want to value people, create solid relationship, and then equip yourself and those people for success, right? So when it comes to equipping, now we again want to understand, like, why sometimes we fail to equip people, and there are three types of leaders. When it comes to equipping our people, we have those that are overlookers. These people equip the team, but they do not equip themselves. What we mean by that is that these will be the people that usually speak to us as consultants and coaches, and they want something for their team, right? They might not see the need for leadership development for themselves, right? So we call them overlooker. They actually overlook the need for themselves, right? They equip the team, but not themselves. Then we have the fearful investors. These people actually, these leaders, equip themselves, but not the team. They're afraid that if they equip the team, if they empower the team, what if the team leaves? And I can tell you, what's worse than equipping someone and empowering them and have them leave? You know what's worse than that? Is not equipping them, not empowering them, and have them stay. That's much worse. So if you are one of these fearful investors and you invest in yourself and you go to conferences and you attend seminars and you maybe work with a coach, well, I like you to consider that if you don't invest in your people, well, you're making yourself and them a disservice. Because if you don't invest in them and they stay, it's much worse than if you invest in them and they actually start to use that knowledge or skill that you keep them with and produce some results. Even if they leave, chances are they're not going to leave because now they see that you invest in them and you value them, right? So I think this is one of the biggest challenges, and for many leaders, it's a mistake they make, is because they think that if they invest in people, people might leave, but they don't consider that if they don't invest in people, people most likely will leave because they don't feel valued, they don't feel invested in, they don't feel developed. And if you invest in people, that might actually make some of your team members stay, because now all of a sudden they see that you value them and invest in them. So you don't want to be neither in the first category nor in the second. You want to be an equipper, right? An equipper is someone that equip themselves and their people, right? So you looking for opportunities for you to grow in the areas that you need to grow as a leader, but you also then equip your team. So you bring your team together with you when you go to conferences, you buy courses and books and materials for your team, and you equip them with the resources and the skills that they need. And that's the formula for success. So how do you identify kind of what kind of skills your people your people need, and how can you identify the key skills that your people need to be developing? Well, this is an exercise that I take leaders through. I ask them to kind of draw on a piece of paper what does their ideal team looks like. Okay, so forget about who you have on your team today, forget about the history, for a moment, just put that on the side and think about what the ideal team would look like for you. Like, if time and money would not be a limitation, how would the ideal team look like? If you will start from scratch and you will do everything again, with the experience you have now, with what you know now, how would the team look like? Okay, and draw that on a piece of paper. Okay, so when you have done that, then you look at, okay, who do I have on my team, right? So first is, how does the ideal team look like? Once you have that chart, then look at your team, right? Do they have potential? Can they probably maybe grow and develop and be one of the team members in your ideal team, on your ideal team, if you equip them, right? Can they be growing into that person? Are they already there, right? So look at, what do they need to become part of your dream team, right? In what areas do they need to be equipped? How do you need to support them? What kind of resources do they need to become that? Okay, so start with the team, how the ideal team looks like, or your dream team. Then look at who you have on your team today and see, what do they need to become part of your dream team. If you go through this exercise, you realize that some people on your team have the potential to become your dream team. Others might have some limitations, might have something. Sometimes could be the attitude, other times could be the skills, other times, many times is the attitude, because skills is something that could be learned. So if the person has a learning attitude, a positive attitude, a can-do attitude, they set themselves up for success, because if there is one skill or one area that they need to improve in, and they come with a positive attitude, they'll definitely gonna improve in that area. So skill and talent, it's rarely the problem. The problem is attitude. So that's why the success formula includes attitude. That will be the next one we're gonna cover, right? But for now, we're looking at relationship and equipping, right? And so you really want to look at, do these people have the potential to develop and be one of my dream team members? And if so, what do they need in order for them to be that person? So here's how this could go wrong if we don't do it well, because why we want to start with the end in mind and start with the ideal team and then work backwards, is because if we put the wrong people in the wrong places, we're really setting ourselves up for disasters. And sometimes when we take over a team, or when we build a team, if we have built that team from scratch, then there were times when we started to build a team where, well, we didn't have the resources or the choices. So then we brought someone on the team because at that time they served, on the team, and they had a purpose, and they were complementary to the team members. But since then, maybe you and the team has evolved, and now they might not be a fit for the team, right? That's one of the other things that I had to learn about relationship as well, that sometimes, people that start with you don't end with you, right? On the way, there will be people that will leave your team, and there will other people that will join your team. So here are some combinations of if we put people in the right places, or if we actually we are not mindful of who do we have and on what position are they on. Because again, think about, you are the bus driver, right? So if you don't put the right people on the right seats on the bus, again, you could have the right team, but they might be out of their strengths areas. They might be out of their skills areas. More or less, I give this example all the time with a football team, right? So if you have, so there is two things. You don't want to build a team of 11 goalkeepers, right? Because that's not a winning team if you think about football. But also you want to know that your, people are on the right position on the team, right? So who do you have on the team? Can they be part of your ideal team? And here is some combination of team members and positions that you want to avoid. Okay, so if you think about the wrong person in the wrong place, that's definitely going to take you backwards. The wrong person in the right place, that's frustration, and that's usually due to their attitude. the right person in the wrong place, that's confusion, because they are not able to use their skills and strengths, and they'll be confusing for them, right? And you're not gonna know why they don't actually perform. Is because they might be in the wrong place, right? If we put them on the wrong spot, then the right person in the right place, that's progression. But if we have the right people in the right places, that's when things start to happen. That's where we get to multiplication. So we really want to know, who do we have on the team, how they could be part of our ideal organization, and then to develop them and equip them to actually get there. But everything starts with what I'm going to share with you right now. We have to acknowledge that people are valuable, because in order for us to equip them, we have to decide that people are worth equipping, because that's the first step. In order for us to develop them and to build a team, we have to decide that they are worth equipping. And again, it goes back to the challenge of some leaders, that what if I invest in people, equip people, and they leave? Okay, so we have to decide that they're worth equipping in order for us to start investing in them. Okay, so let me leave you with this quote here. Like, equipping is more or less like nurturing. It's an ongoing process. It's not something that you do one time and you're done. Like you say, well, I gave my team some course, I gave some resources, and now they're equipped, right? Now they should start working. Equipping, it's an ongoing process, because the challenges that your team faces are going to change. They're going to evolve. Like, you're going to start to do new things, and there are going to be other challenges that come to the surface. I see this more or less like levels of leadership, or levels of effectiveness, if you like, or level of success that you have to graduate from. In other words, if you are a leader, and let's say you have built a team of 10 people, right? And now you're developing your team, you're expanding your team, and you grew to 15 people, okay? If there are some challenges that you had back when you had a 10 people team, well, if you haven't graduated from those, what I mean by that is, if you haven't fixed those, if you haven't overcome those challenges, they will show up again at 15, and what will happen, probably, some people will leave, you have some turnover, and then you're going to get back at 10 people, because there were some things that you didn't learn there, right? So when you think about equipping your team, like, if you have equipped them to perform well today, that doesn't guarantee they're going to perform well tomorrow and the day after tomorrow, because what has taken you up to here is not going to take you where you need to go. What got you here is not going to take you there. Okay, so you have to acknowledge that equipping, it's an ongoing process. You want to be intentional about equipping yourself and equipping your team. Okay, all right, next one, attitude. So let's look a little bit about attitude, and why is attitude important, and what it is actually. Well, attitude, it's an inward state expressed outwardly. It's our best friend and also our worst enemy. It's more honest and more consistent than our words, and it's a thing which draws people to us or repels them. And this is something that many times we feel, and we don't know where it's coming from, but you can see when someone walks into a room, you can see if people's faces lit up, or actually, everyone looks down or looks away from the person stepping into the room. That's not because of their skill, it's because of the attitude. Okay, we say attitude, it's a player on our team. It's always a player on our team, whether bad or good. Attitude is never content until it's expressed. What it means? It means that attitude is actually that inward feeling expressed outwardly. So my attitude, it's more or less a mirror of how I feel on the inside. So if someone is hurting on the inside, they're going to express that on the outside, which will show up as maybe they don't have patience with other people. They might be negative about some condition or circumstance. They might blame other people, but that doesn't have to do with those people. It has to do with them, right? Attitude tells more about a person than anything else. Let's look at some other things. Is the librarian of our past. It means it knows all our mistakes. It knows all the things we have learned in our past. Is the speaker of our present, and is the prophet of our future. I really believe those things. So it's not easy way to define attitude, but these are attributes of attitude. And so all things being equal, people want to do business with people who possess a positive attitude. If you show to me two equally skilled people, right, 100% of the time, I'm going to choose the one with the better attitude, with a more positive attitude. 100% of the time. And most people do the same. Why? Because who wants to be on a complainer's team? Like if you as a leader are showing up to work with the less than ideal attitude, what do you think your team will do? Like if my leader complains, then it means that it's okay to complain. I'm going to complain as well. I say something like this: when you chose to become a leader, you gave up your right to complain. You have no right to complain as a leader. You might have things that you're not happy with. You might have things that bother you, but you don't have the right to complain, especially in front of your people, right? So you could talk that with your upline, you could talk that with the manager, but not in front of your people, because what you're gonna do, people do what people see. So that attitude is gonna spread out into the team. So all things being equal, people want to do business and people want to collaborate with people that are positive, that have a positive outlook, that talk about a future, not about a past, and they do not complain about circumstances or things that they can't change. So what's the impact of attitude in team dynamics? Well, here is how attitude impacts team dynamics. Attitudes can lift up or tear down. So if you look at the abilities, right? So that's why we say many times, you hear this, and this is kind of a cliche right now. You say, higher attitude and train skill. Why? Because skill is something you can train, but attitude is not something you can train. And I made this mistake early on in my career to hire people that I thought, well, I'm gonna fix them, I'm gonna fix their attitude. And I was so wrong. That was one of my biggest mistakes of my career, because I thought that I can change people, right? They had the skill. Sometimes they didn't even have the skill, but I thought that if I can train them skill, I can also train them attitude. And I made some progress to some extent, right? But attitude, it's so much ingrained in our core values and beliefs and experiences that it's very difficult to change. And so for me, as the leader of a team and spending a few hours a day with them, if I could even spend that, but if you think about you are a leader of a team, how much time you spend one-on-one or very closely with a team member? Let's say 1 hour a day, but they spend 23 hours a day in an environment that you don't control. Let's say that you control the other team members, okay, so you have some control over your environment in the team, but you can't control what they do outside of work. You can't control the people that they spend time with. And so if they are in negative circles, and if they are together with people that have a bad attitude, that will actually spread, and they will bring that to the work. So one of the biggest mistakes I made is to believe that I can change someone's attitude. You can't. So if you look at this chart here, you can see great talent. So we assume here, as we say, all things being equal, so on the abilities, everyone has a great talent, but the first person there, or the first situation, is someone has a rotten attitude with great talent. That's a bad team, and this will spread into the team, right? Then we have a great talent with the bad attitude. That will be an average team. But great talent with average attitude, that's a good team. Great talent with good attitude, that's a great team. So as you see, this is the impact of attitude in the team. You can have great players on the team, but if they have a bad attitude, it's not going to help you a lot. So let's look at some of the attitudes that ruin a team, okay? So we say the attitude of the leader kind of sets the stage for the attitude of the team members. And then also as a leader, it's our responsibility to be intentional about the attitudes we want to see on our team. So some of the, attitudes that negatively impact the team and their abilities is the inability to admit our mistakes. That's a huge one. If people don't admit their mistakes, then I don't know if there's any chance or any solution for that team. That's foundational, because trust is not there, and when there's a lack of trust, then people are going to play politics, and they're not going to really be vulnerable and accountable to each other. Failing to forgive, holding grudges, being jealous on other people, being to focus on ourselves, right? The disease of me, and it's everything about me. Having a critical spirit, criticizing things more than moving away from constructive criticism and talking about people rather than situations and trying to solve a problem. A desire to take all the credit. If that's what drives team members, then this will definitely negatively impact the team. So when we notice those, we want to make sure that as a leader we address those, because attitude, it's always a player on your team. If it's a positive attitude, it will enhance your team. If it's a negative attitude, it will impact your team, but it's always a player on your team, okay? So we look at relationship, we look at equipping, we look at attitude. Now let's look a little bit about leadership. And just before we moving there, like how do we create a resilient mindset? I'm going to share a couple of things about that, because John has written a fantastic book, Failing Forward, John Maxwell, and some of the principles that he shares in Failing Forward is that there are some abilities that we need in order for us to fail forward. How do we build a resilient attitude? How do we build resilience in our team? Well, here are some things, okay? Rejection. What do we mean by that? Meaning that we don't accept rejection as rejection. So we're just gonna try again. Rejection is not a rejection until we have stopped trying, okay? So we're not gonna accept that as it is. See failure as temporary. Failure, many times we say, well, when someone say no to a proposal, is that they haven't yet seen it from the perspective that they need to see it in order to say yes to it. So it's just a temporary failure. It's not a permanent failure unless we continue trying. See failures as isolated incidents, right? If you think about that, many people, every successful people actually has failed, but never regarded themselves as a failure, because those failures were isolated incidents. So many times we can focus on failure and make everything about that and forget about all the successes we had in between or in the past. So see it as an isolated incident. Keep expectations realistic. Sometimes our attitude could be due to unrealistic expectations. If I expect things to be right here, but I actually reality is here, then the gap between expectation and reality, it's disappointment. And so disappointment leads to a bad attitude, and we're not actually resilient. So we have to be realistic about our chances and to be realistic about the things we can do. And if we do that, then that will help us stay in the game. Focus on our strengths and then try different things, right? Vary the approaches to achievement. So we don't want to just try again and again and again in the same way we just got a rejection, right? We're going to try a different approach. We're going to change the communication style. We're going to change the benefits we're going to focus on. We're going to change something that will allow us to vary and try different things to see what works, right? And if we understand that, then we're also going to bounce back, right? Because why? Because we know that in order for us to figure out the things that work, we have to try some of the things that do not work. So those are some really good things that abilities that allow us to fail forward, because at the end of the day, every successful person is someone who failed yet never regarded themselves as a failure. So what builds resilience in people is being able to look at failure in the right light and do not allow that failure to become permanent or to determine someone's attitude. Okay, so that was on attitude and how to develop resilience. Let's look at leadership a little bit. This is the one that we cover in our last stream. So if you want to look at that in more detail, look for it on my profile or on my YouTube channel. So leadership. Now, again, why do I need to grow as a leader? That's a question sometimes people ask, and the reason is very simple. Because if you look at this graph here, and if you consider the blue area there, that's being, someone's leadership ability, it's, let's say, 2.5 out of 10, right? But they put 8 out of 10 effort, right? So success, dedication, it's how much they try, how much time they put into it. But their leadership, it's only 2.5. So what they could do is they could try even harder, and they could probably go to 10 out of 10, put all their energy, all their effort, right? Without increasing their leadership ability at all. And what they could do is, they improve their performance and their success with 20%. But what if, instead of them putting more effort without improving their leadership skills, what if they start developing themselves as a leader and starting to invest in their leadership skills? This is what could happen. So instead of them growing 20%, this is like tripling their impact, because with the same effort, but just becoming more effective as a leader and developing the leadership skills, they could reach much more. So success without leadership and success with leadership, big difference. So I hope that answers the question, why do you need to develop as a leader? And you can even go even further and let's say, put 10 out of 10 effort. But you can see the biggest impact is if you move from just trying to do things yourself and focusing more and more and putting all the energy, all the time that you have in trying to do the things that you're doing right now, or developing your leadership. So when we start developing ourselves as a leader, then we also start investing in our team. And that's kind of the key of the key of leadership. One of the models that we share with our clients and we use in our leadership development is John Maxwell's 5 levels of leadership. And I'm going to cover this briefly just for us to understand, kind of get the sense of what leadership is and what we mean by leadership. So we call actually this being a model of influence. The first level is where everyone starts, is the position level. That was me getting the position I was promoted as a leader, and then so I started in the position level. That's a great place to start, but it's a terrible place to stay, right? So first of all, people didn't know me, and I just got the position. So you get the position, and that's when you get your your leader permission to lead, but not your people. Level number 2 is permission. That's when you start gaining your people permission to lead them. So level number one is you had your boss permission to lead. Level number 2 is when you move to permission-based lead influence, where you have your people's permission to lead them. Big difference, right? Then level number 3 will be production. This is where you started producing results for your team. And most leaders spend their time and careers in between level number 2 or 3, depending whether they are more people-driven, that will be level 2, or results-driven, and that will be level 3. Now, you want to go to level 4. You don't want to stay neither at level 2 or level 3. If you think about level 3, it's results based on influence, tasks first, results-driven leaders. Level 2, it's relationship first, people-driven leaders. These are based on permission. Level number 4, it's people development. What happens here is that the leader becomes great, not because of their power, but because of the ability to empower others. And that's where magic happens. When you start to develop people around you and you keep them and you use this real success formula with your team, that's when you get where most successful leaders are. There is a level 5, but that level 5 is more exclusive, let's say. It's just for some people that have done so well for so long that we call that the pinnacle of leadership. Very few people get there, right? That's your reputation. That's what you've done for other people. It's beyond position, it's beyond results. You've done so much, so well for so many that you get that reputation for that. So if you look at why do people follow leaders at level 1, they have to, because they're the boss and they're using their position to enforce their leadership on others. Level 2, they want to. People follow because they want to. Level 3, people admire other people that are bringing results. Level 4, people become loyal because you invest in them. And at level 5, people follow because of your reputation. So this is a really good formula for us to implement and to use in leadership. So it gives us a visual of the different levels of leadership and how does influence work. Okay. So that's what I want to share with you on the 4 different aspects of the real success formula. I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, but I'm going to share with you a case study from one of our clients, Gabriel, at Luleå University in Sweden here, and we're gonna look at what Gabriel did, right? So he took over a team, and that was created by merging 2 different groups with backgrounds, and of course there were struggles with internal communication and collaboration. Morale, motivation were low. So then what we've done is we started with the R, right? We coach Gabriel. He started to build relationship within the team, with his team. We worked together, and then we started to understand their team composition, each person's strengths and weaknesses, and then we started to build respect and trust, and everything improved. Communication improved, collaboration improves, and as you can see, his experience with our work was, he appreciates what we've done. Then when it comes to equipping, then we started to bring tools and resources to the team, right? We've done series of workshops and training sessions. We provide the team with practical strategy and techniques to enhance their skills. We assess everyone on the team. We identify strengths and areas of improvement, and all that led to people feeling valued and starting to collaborate and communicate together. Then we look at how can we bring a positive attitude on the team. Again, that was crucial. And through coaching, mentoring, we helped Gabriel and the team shift mindset from frustration to possibility and growth. And we can see that Gabriel's appreciate our work together. So we apply the formula, and Gabriel has experienced great results. Again, one of the things that we're working on right now, it's developing leaders in the team, and we're focusing on developing leadership skills within the team, and creating a succession plan. So just looking at how Gabriel was able to benefit from the real success formula, it speaks volumes on how this could be useful for you too. So applying it, the team morale increased, communication, collaboration will enhance, the overall work environment become more productive and cohesive. So if this is inspiring to you, and if you want to experience what Gabriel has experienced, well, get in touch with me. I'll be more than happy to share with you some resources, and also look at how can we apply this formula for your team. And before we kind of close, I'm going to give you some practical tips. So if you're following up until this point, you're still here on the line, I'm going to give you some practical tips on how can you create a personal plan for you, a personal growth plan for you based on the real success formula. So what can you do on a daily basis in these 4 areas? Okay, so here is how it is. Okay, first of all, one of the great books that I love from John Maxwell is called Today Matters. And in that book, John actually gives us 12 different practices. I just took a picture of the first page there that I'm gonna print out and put it here on the wall of my office, of my studio, because I want to be reminded of those things. So what I'm sharing with you today, it's in the same principle as John Maxwell Today Matters, but implementing the real success formula in your life. So first, about relationship. What can you do daily about relationships? Well, okay, here's what you can do. In the morning, you can take a few minutes to reflect on your relationships. Identify one person you want to strengthen your connection with today, and then set for yourself this action. Reach out to that person with a quick message, call, or in-person conversation, however you can reach them. And it could be as simple as checking in or offering help with a project. So what you're gonna put on your to-do list for today is, I will check with the person you identify, in this case Jane, today, to see how her new project is going, and offer my assistance if she might need it. Is it complicated? No. Would it take a lot of time? No. Easy to implement, not complicated, but if you do that consistently every single day, I'm gonna guarantee you, in a matter of weeks and months, you're gonna build some really strong relationship. And if you keep doing that, then you're gonna see the results popping up in your life. Let's look at equipping. How can you become intentional about enhancing your skills and your team? Okay, number 1, equipping yourself. Okay, identify one skill or knowledge that you want to learn today. Dedicate a time for it, like 10, 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, how much you can, but be intentional about that. Decide what you want to learn today, and make that an action, right? So it could be very easy as watching a video online, watching this class, something that it's helping you in one area, but I want you to be intentional about that area, right? In what area do you want to develop today? So your action would look like, when I will spend 20 minutes reading about the latest trends in automotive engineering, if that's your field, okay? That you're intentional. You're talking about latest trends. Although that example is a bit generic, it could be even more precise. It could be looking at a specific technology within engineering. Then equip your team, right? Identify one person you want to equip today. Determine one area or skill where they need development, and then share something of helpful for them. A resource. Maybe provide them some feedback, offer them some coaching. So your action for this will look like, I will share a recent article on leadership with John and discuss how it applies to our current project. Complicated? Not really. So very easy. You can implement, you can think about a person you want to strengthen your relationship with, reach out today. You can think about one area you want to grow in, set a time, 5, 10, 20 minutes. Instead of scrolling social media, stop, think about one area you want to improve in, and then set that as being, one area that you want to improve in today. And then find the person on your team and see what do they need, and think about how can you help them equip themselves in one area today. Then let's look at attitude. Start your morning with positive affirmation. Find what works for you. For me, there is one thing. I don't have a positive affirmation, but I have my alarm clock uses a song, I Love My Life by Robbie Williams. And I put this, I think, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. Both, all my alarms, they ring with that song. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I hear is, I love my life. I am beautiful. I am powerful. I love my life. How do you think I'm going to feel? So choose what works for you, okay? So morning affirmation or something that helps you start into the right mindset. And so, for example, one thing you could say to yourself, today I will focus on what I can control and approach challenges with a positive attitude. Then maybe midday, you take a moment to reflect on your attitude. You do a check-in and see, okay, how do I feel today? Like, what's my to-do list? How do I do on things? Am I behind? Am I on spot? When someone asks me, and when my wife gets home, or when I pick up her in the afternoon, she asks me, how was your day? Like, based on what I'm gonna evaluate my day. Many times it's about based on my attitude and how do I feel about my things that I've done or not. So then what can I do is to, instead of feeling overwhelmed by this tight deadline or not doing things that I plan to do, I will focus on the step I can take to meet it successfully, right? So again, it's very easy for us to slip into the bad attitude. So morning affirmation, or start your day in such a way that you are positive in the morning, and then check in during the day. All right, so let's look at leadership. Leadership, it's about developing and inspiring other people, developing yourself, right? Identify one aspect of your leadership skills you want to develop today, right? Again, so when we say about equipping and leadership could be actually one and the same. And you could say, well, now I want to equip myself in the area of my leadership. So then you kind of check equipping and leadership. But maybe equipping has you learn sales, or has you learn marketing, or like in that case was, automotive trends, right? So equipping doesn't necessarily have to do with leadership. We want you to understand that leadership, it's so important and touches so many areas of your life that you want to dedicate separate activity for leadership, okay? So choose a leadership resource, choose a leadership book, choose something that helps you develop your leadership, and set a time. For example, I will read a chapter of a leadership book during my lunch day to gain new insights. That was something I've done for so long when I was in the corporate world, and we had a 42 minutes lunch break. I didn't need 42 minutes to have my lunch. I would maybe eat in 20 minutes, and I will listen to a podcast, read something, do something in another 22 minutes. So I used that small breaks to actually develop myself, and it had a compounded effect over time. So choose one area of your leadership you want to improve today, set a time for it, maybe use your lunch break, or put a time on your agenda, maybe 10, 15 minutes, how much you can, and focus on that. And then identify again one person on your team that you want to help them develop in their leadership, right? And you could be just spending some time with them and mentoring them in one area. Maybe delegate to them a challenging task and then help them achieve that task. or give them some feedback. And your action could look like, I will mentor Sarah today by discussing how she can lead the upcoming team meeting. So if you just do these things, which are not complicated, which shouldn't take a lot of time of your day, if you do this and if you do them consistently, I'm guaranteeing you, I guarantee you, you're gonna get some fantastic results. You're gonna improve your leadership. You're gonna improve your results in every single area of your life and business. So I'm gonna leave you with this. Success is determined by your daily agenda. Your success is determined by your daily agenda. So this is what I want to share with you today. And in order for us to become the best version of ourselves, we have to be intentional about it. How you spend your time, how you spend your days is just critical. Okay, so that was the real success formula: relationship, equipping, attitude, leadership. If you would implement that plan, I'll be more than happy to hear what you have experienced. How did it go for you? But just try some of those things. If attitude is one of your areas of struggle, just try that daily practice for attitude. All right, so I'm gonna leave you with that. Keep growing, keep developing, because every challenge, every new level of growth will require a better and different you. And I look forward to see you around online and in Gothenburg or in Denmark. And just for some of you that you're not aware of, we have an upcoming event in Gothenburg. It's going to be a simulcast event with some amazing speakers from the United States. This is streamed in 300 plus locations in the world, and we are the only location in Scandinavia and in Sweden. So live2lead.se, you can find more information there. October 17. I'll get back in short with some more details and confirm the speakers, but we're putting something together, something really, really nice. So if you're in Gothenburg and in the area, we'll love to have you in the room. You're gonna love the experience. All right, so that's what I want to share with you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think we got longer than we planned, but I hope you got some value today. So just thank you so much for supporting us and being on the line. If you have any questions, I'm gonna go to the comments, see if there are questions, and if you have any questions, I'll answer those afterwards as well. And thank you to Missy, who's our great team member, for supporting all our shows here. If you have any questions, just drop that in the comments or reach out. I'll be more than happy to answer those. So again, thank you for tuning in. I look forward to see you around. Take care. Bye-bye.